All right, hello everybody. This is Sam here again. Back for the second part of the reading section, questions 11 through 21 in practice test 1. Again, you should have your book out if you haven't. Otherwise, just follow along on the computer. And just like we did last time, let's begin by looking just at the questions for the first several questions here to see if we can get an idea of what the passage is about, get some things in the back of our minds. So, question 11. The author is most likely use the examples in lines 1 through 9 of the passage to highlight the blah, blah, blah. So this is a specific one. It's asking about several specific lines, so we can get back to this later. Don't have to think about it now. 12, in line 10, the word ambivalent most nearly means. Now, this is a very specific one about a word, and we can find it in the line, so don't need to worry about it for now. Question 13. The authors indicate that people value gift giving because they feel it, A, B, C, or D. This is something that we can kind of keep in the back of our minds. This is a little bit specific, but it's something that we're going to be able to answer throughout the passage, and it's going to likely be kind of pervasive through the passage. So let's keep 13 in mind. And more importantly, this question gives us the sense that the authors of this passage is going to be about gift giving and why people value gift giving. So that gives us some sort of primer as to what we're going to be reading. So now we can get to it. Let's go to the reading. If you have your book, go ahead and read now, pause the video, and then we'll get back to it. All right, so pause it now. Alrighty, you should have had time now to read that passage. So let's get to the questions. Question 11, the authors most likely use the examples in lines 1 through 9 to highlight A, B, C, or D. So this is one of those questions, it's asking about a fairly small piece of the passage, 9 lines. And so it's really important, I think, to read that whole section again. If you're not extremely clear on what it was saying, read that whole thing again, because often there are going to be red herrings here, such that if you read maybe just 1 or 2 lines or maybe half of this passage, you might be led to an incorrect answer. For instance, let's go here. If I were just to read, I won't read this whole thing, but if I were just to read this sentence, last year Americans spent over $30 billion in retail stores in the month of December alone. If I were just to read that and then try to read this, to answer this question here, I might be led to say that B is the right answer. Recent increase in the amount of money spent on gifts. That's just an example of one thing that I could think that's actually not correct. When you read the whole thing, we find that A is the right answer. It's talking about how regularly people shop for gifts in America. So A is the correct answer there. And again, just read that whole thing again. Don't just cherry pick here if you're not completely clear on what it's saying, because oftentimes there are some false clues there. All right, question 12. In line 10, the word ambivalent most nearly means A, B, C, or D. So again, this is a very specific question, one word in one line that it's looking for. So we just need to go back, look at that sentence, and read that whole sentence, and then likely we'll need some context. So let's go here. Here's the sentence. This frequent experience of gift giving can engender ambivalent feelings in gift givers. So this doesn't give us a ton of information on the word ambivalent here, so we're going to need context. The way this sentence is set up does give me the idea that the context is going to come after it. The following sentences will be kind of explaining what this means or retelling it. So many relish the opportunity to buy presents because gift giving offers a powerful means, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, many dread the thought of buying gifts. So many relish the opportunity, many dread it. So there's kind of a conflict here. And that's the context we need to answer this question. So that came after that sentence, and let's see, we have B, conflicted. So conflicted is the right answer, and we can confirm that A, unrealistic, doesn't make sense, neither does C, apprehensive, or D, supportive, given that context. So B is the correct answer here. All right, questions 13 and 14 asked in tandem here again. 14 directly relates to 13. So like I said before, let's do 13 first, the first one, and then go on to the second one to find that evidence once they have a really good sense of what the first might be. So 13, the authors indicate that people value gift giving because they feel it, A, B, C, or D. Let's see here. So this is something that we should have a fairly good sense of from reading the passage. It's kind of one of the theses of the passage, or certainly one of the things that's discussed in detail in the passage. In this case, it's going to be D, can serve to strengthen a relationship. That is definitely talked about in the passage, despite being very expensive, that's one of the theories as to why people give each other gifts. So D here. A, self-expression isn't really talked about here. B, is not inexpensive. If anything, it's more expensive than usual. C, requires reciprocation, and that's not discussed either. So D is the answer here. But let's confirm it using 14. So something that I haven't mentioned before with these types of questions, this question is not to say that the evidence here is the only evidence that you'll find for the correct answer in 13. In fact, you might find what you think is even better evidence for the correct answer that's not mentioned here. Now, that doesn't mean that the whole thing is moot and you should choose something else. This is saying of the choices provided, which is the best. So keep that in mind, even if there's better evidence that you think elsewhere. But let's go here. I've bolded these again. Let's look at the first one, A. Many relish the opportunity to buy presents because gift giving offers a powerful means to build stronger bonds with one's closest peers. So this is essentially rewording the exact answer in 13. So that's great evidence for D. And in this case, it actually is A. I'll let you read the others if you like to prove that they're not as good. But one thing that I do want to mention, which explains why it's important to do it in the right order, like I've said. Let's look at D here, this word appreciation. If you're doing this quickly, pressed for time, you might see this word appreciation and say, oh, I saw that in one of the questions in the previous question. So maybe that's right. And you would see here, this would lead you to B, which is definitely not the right answer. So again, really, I do think it's important to do these in the right order, 13 first and then 14, because those red herrings can catch you. So D and A. All right, question 15. The social psychologist mentioned in paragraph 2 would likely describe the deadweight loss phenomenon as predictable, questionable, disturbing, or unprecedented. So this is asking about a paragraph. It's a fairly large paragraph. What I typically do here is, if I need to, I'll go and reread the whole paragraph, but I'll pay specific attention to this quoted word here. It's important that you see these quotes here. I'll maybe read the part that talks about the deadweight loss a couple times if I need to kind of get an idea of what they might think about it. Now, this is asking us to kind of make a judgment that might not be explicitly stated in the paragraph, so it's important to get some really, really good evidence and have a good idea of what it's talking about here. So if you need to read through this paragraph again, here's the second paragraph, and here's kind of where they talk about that deadweight loss phenomenon. You can pause it now and then get back to it. All right, so let's look at the answers now. So A, predictable. This is a really good candidate because any social psychologist or a scientist is going to look at a phenomenon as predictable. They wouldn't categorize something as a phenomenon if it wasn't predictable, if it wasn't something that they had tested and been able to make a solid conclusion about. So kind of by the nature of its phenomenon status itself, it is predictable. B, questionable. This would be suggesting that the scientists think that this is a doubtful theory or that they have serious second thoughts about it. They're questioning it, which is not supported by any evidence in the passage. It's fairly clinical. They're talking about it as just bringing forth a theory, so they don't really question it very much. D, unprecedented. Again, this isn't supported by any evidence in the passage. Someone might certainly think that it's unprecedented, but that doesn't really come up. So C, disturbing. Now, this is one that's important to look at because when we're thinking about some sort of experiment and conclusion like this, you might find it disturbing, and I might find it disturbing, and there's a possibility that scientists did too. But it's important to note that that's not supported by any evidence here. It's very, as I said, clinical. It's just kind of bringing forth a view. And so while it might be disturbing to you, there's not anything to support that in the way that it's talked about. So A is going to be the answer here, A, predictable. All right, so I'm going to leave this video off here, and we'll kind of jump into the next one with the next questions with the next video, but I'll kind of recap some of the things that we've gone over in these 5 questions so far. So first of all, again, to recap in a question like 11, if you're given a small sample of the passage to read over and you don't know it very thoroughly, it's important to read the whole thing. Don't just kind of pick and choose your evidence because that can lead you to wrong answers. when you're looking at just one word, make sure to find some context, and don't forget that context can actually appear before the word actually appears in the sentence itself. And again, as I've said before, with two kind of tandem asked questions, really is best to do them in the correct order and confirm your theory from the first one using the second one. Now, that said, if you really don't know, if there's really just no way that for the first one, it can be useful to kind of use the evidence provided in the second, as long as you do that with a very, very careful eye. And then in a question like this, when you see, quotes, quotation marks are always important. In this case, both of these were very important when we were figuring out the answer, so keep an eye out for those. And that is the recap for this section. I will continue next time with the next